Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Or morning, rather. Good morning. Let me know if I'm being heard in the chat box, please.
Good morning, ma.
Morning. Thank you. Um, 100 of you in class. I don't know how many. Thank you. Yes, I can see your responses. This is not a man, this is a sir. This is Dr. Adeyemi. I'm Dr. Adeyemi from Department of Zoology. And I'm aware this is your first zoology lecture, Zoo 101, Mammalian Body. Um, I'm going to be the first lecturer to take you on to introduce the course. I'm going to teach today and I will teach tomorrow also. Hopefully, I'm able to finish tomorrow. I should be able to finish tomorrow. Um, I should be expecting more than 100 students. Am I right? Oh, this is not your first zoology class?
Yes, ma. We've done excretory system last week, ma, with Professor Akinsoya.
Excretory system. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so it's not your first class. Okay, that's fine. Zoom's capacity. Yes, you can only take 100. Is this
Ma, it is linked, sir, it's linked to YouTube. So
YouTube?
the people that
Okay,
are not able to come here on YouTube, sir.
okay, great. I just wanted to be sure it was link. Okay, I can see the link. All right, is that Temidayo speaking?
Yes, sir.
Are you the course, the rep for the course, for this course?
No, sir, but Professor Akinsoya told me to host it, sir. I'm the rep for medicine and surgery, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. All right, well done.
Alright.
So I'm Dr. Adeyemi once again, and I'm going to continue from where I'm supposed to have started teaching. I'm supposed to be forced to teach and then just take you through a brief overview of mammals and their anatomy and their physiology, basically. So permit me to share my slides so that you can all follow through. All right, can you see my screen? Let me know in the chat room if you can. Olalu Adebisi, we barely started the class. You're already asking me for my slides. What's your plan? To leave this class and just get my slides and read them? So allow me decide that at the end of the class. Thank you. So can you guys see my screen? Please tell me if you can. And I'm a sir, not a ma'am, please. Babatunde, please. Sir, you want to see my face? Is my voice low or is it your network? Adedeji, I don't think so. Others can hear me clearly, I believe. Okay, thank you, Fabusiwa Israel. So at some point, I'm going to stop. Okay, please, can you guys stop with your matric number, your names, and all of that? I don't need it for anything, at least not now. Thank you. So I can respond to chats that are relating to the class. Okay, so let's get right in. Sorry, what happened there? I think I annotated something. Okay. Okay, sorry. I need to stop sharing. It's whatever it is. All right, okay, so let's jump right in. I have just 1 hour with you, and let's see how far we go. If I'm able to finish today, then we might just meet tomorrow for a brief talk and a revision of what we learned last class. All right, so we are going to be looking at the anatomy and physiology of the mammal. Other lecturers, like you mentioned that Professor Akisoya already started teaching you the excretory system. I don't know if he has finished, but you already started. Sorry, please, why are you annotating my screen? That's bad. What's going on? Why do you have why do I have a stroke on my screen right now? I'd like to know what's going on. Am I being heard?
So I don't think it's from here.
It's not from me either. And I could tell that somebody else is annotating the screen. And I can see the name, Abigail Bada. Okay, please don't make that mistake again. I'll have to reshare again. All right, thank you. So the anatomy. So yes, so we are going to have other lecturers teach you the anatomy and physiology of mammals in detail. So I'm just supposed to come give you a brief overview, and I'm going to take you through the 3 main characteristics of mammals. That is, certain features and physiology that you must see for you to be able to tell that an organism or determine whether it's a mammal or identify it as a mammal or not. So I'm going to be taking you through the brief, a general overview. Other lecturers will come and look at all these things that I'll be mentioning today in detail. So that's what I'm responsible for in this part of the course. But so let's by means of an introduction. While so many of you have heard of the class Mammalia before from secondary school, I believe. I know in secondary school, part of your biology curriculum, you have to be taken through the diversity of animals and plants. And so when you were looking at the diversity of animals, a lot of you know about the different animal phyla that exist, from phylum Protozoa all the way down to phylum Vertebrata or phylum Chordata, as you call it. And then within the phylum Chordata, those are chordates. Within that phylum, you have a class known as the class Mammalia. Of course, you know other classes within the subphylum Vertebrata, where the class amphibians, the class aves, the class reptilia, and then the most advanced of all these vertebrates are mammals, which belong to the class Mammalia. We belong to the class Mammalia. And class Mammalia seems to be very interesting for many of you because, of course, all the animals that belong to this class or in this group are macroscopic. You can see them with your naked eyes. They are large enough for you to appreciate what they look like, what they can do, how they behave. Many of you have them as pets. Some of you live in close proximity. Some people eat some of these mammals, like those of you that like to, that like barbecue. You barbecue some mammals like sheep, like goats, like cow, cattle generally. Yes. So, and mammals are everywhere around us. Some of you keep dogs, you have cats as pets. These are all mammals. And you can tell from even these few examples that you even find whales, mammals in the aquatic environment also, and some other mammals that you find in the aquatic environment. So they are not even restricted only to land. So even when you go to water, you will find mammals there. And so you can agree and begin to see that there are diverse mammals that exist, and it's very interesting to learn about them, as being the fact that you see them every now and then, and it's to be very nice to know something or have something to say about their anatomy and their physiology. So mammals are the most dominant land animals on earth, And the class mammalian consists of about 5,000 species. That's quite diverse, although not as diverse as some other groups of animals. But this a lot. This is a very high diversity, all the same, and they are the most dominant land animals. They happen to be the most successful animals living on land. But like I said, you don't only find them on land. So pay attention to the word, or to the phrase most dominant. So they are not the only, the only animals you find on land. And they are not only found on land. I'm just trying to let you know that on land, they happen to be the most dominant and highly successful animals. Fossil skeletons have shown early mammals to have very large eye sockets, and scientists and paleontologists have deduced that it means that this group of animals are very active at night. It means that they need large eyes to be able to see, and it obviously means that they have very stronger and clearer vision, and is most likely attributed to the fact that such animals are very active at night. Mammals are believed to have evolved from reptiles during the late Jurassic period. How many of you are aware of that? So the reptiles actually have a very strong link with several animals. For example, the class A's, that is the group where the birds, just a minute, please. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I needed to lock up the door to my office so I don't get people disturbing me. Okay, yes. So just the same way birds were believed to have evolved from reptiles. Mammals also were believed to have evolved from reptiles during the late Jurassic period. And so this chart, or this image here, just shows you how mammals evolved from the reptiles. So you see the pelycosaurs, that's dinosaurs that believed to have lived in the late Jurassic period, the cynodonts, and how they then evolved to the elitarians. Terrier, wherever you see terrier refers to mammals. Yes, most times when you see terrier, you hear proteria, metatheria, mesotheria. They are referring to different stages, different complexities of mammals. So like the proterian, for example, at the look here, look at the proterian. The proterian are the early mammals, like the monotremes. How many of you ever, I don't know if they still show that cartoon, if the cartoon is still aired. How many of you remember Platypus? Phineas and Ferb. Do you know Phineas and Ferb? If you have ever come across Phineas and Ferb, say yes in the chat room. Say cartoon. How come? You're all Gen Zs. Aren't you supposed to be Gen Zs? How do you know Phineas and Ferb? This is wrong. It's not allowed. Yes, okay, at least there's somebody who doesn't know. Maybe she doesn't watch TV. Okay, so quite a number of you. That's very good. Adekpoju, Samia, Ebele. Okay, so you all know Phineas and Ferb. So you remember the platypus in Phineas and Ferb, right? Remember the platypus. How many of you thought it was a fish? So I'm sure some of you must have thought it was a fish or maybe something else, not a mammal. But to your amazement today, you learned today that monotremes are mammals, and they are egg-laying mammals, as a matter of fact. They lay eggs. Yes, and that's why you refer to them as the earliest form of mammals. Because if you see the mammals that then later evolved later from reptiles, you find out that they don't lay eggs. They give birth to their young alive. But the mammals we started with on Earth were egg-laying mammals, the proterians. Then we have the elitarians, that's the marsupials, and those mammals that have placenta, like the kangaroos that have a pouch. where their children, their young one grows in the marsupials. That's what you call them. That's the kangaroos, the koala, and what have you. And then the placenta animals, which you refer to as the Hilterians, which are anywhere you see EU as used as a suffix in biology, it refers to true. So EU means true. You can note that down in case you don't know. EU means true. So Euterian means true terians. And I've told you terian refers to mammals. So euterians mean true mammals. And true mammals are all placental mammals. So like you can see here, the whales, the elephants, the bats, they are all, the foxes, they are all true terians because they have a placenta. But anyways, this chart was not to teach you about the classification of mammals. It was just to show you that in the late Jurassic period, these dinosaurs, which are reptiles, were the ones that evolved to becoming mammals. And let's see that a bit more in the next slide about mammalian evolution. So the first true mammal was a small shrew-like organism that coexisted with dinosaurs. So paleontologists, people who studied fossils, found the fossil of an extinct animal called Adrocodium. They gave a name to that extinct animal, Adrocodium. And that fossil was found in North China in 2002, and the brain of, or rather the skull, I beg your pardon, the skull of that fossil looks like a shrew, that's like a rat, looked like a shrew-like organism. Shrews are rodents. They are shrew-like, it looked like a shrew-like organism, and they believed that it must have existed with the dinosaurs. And well, that's the earliest or the oldest fossil that has been found. That's the Adrocodium fossil, and it believed that that was the first true mammal that most likely existed. So just look at what that animal looks like. This is the whole body of the animal, and you see it looks like a shrew and quite very small. Just look at the distance is covering between the two fingers of the person who is holding it. Yes, and you can see the skull of this animal they found. It looks just like the skull of a shrew, and a shrew is a mammal. So the fossil scientists believe that this fossil that was found as the Adrocodium fossil was the fossil of an early mammal, most likely the first true mammal. And it dated as far back as when the dinosaurs lived in the late Jurassic period. All right. Can I go on? Am I being heard? Please tell me if I am. Yes. Say yes in the chat room. Thank you very much, Lawa. Okay, let me go on. Okay, so we are still on their evolution. I know, well, you don't need to go. I know our topic is not really about evolution, but it's just nice that you know where mammals came from and how they came to be. So the most important thing for you to note down is that they evolved from the reptiles, and the link was a shrew-like organism that was found, you know, that believed to have existed with the dinosaurs in the late Jurassic period, because the skull or the fossil of that organism, the Adrocodium, looked very much like a shrew, which is a mammal. Okay, so let's see. So mammals evolved from the early therapsids to the moganocodons, the monotremes, the multituberculates, the marsupials, and those that happen to then have placentas. And these are all, so you don't need to worry yourself about this. I'm just trying to show you that the placental mammals are not the only mammals that exist. There are marsupial mammals, there are egg-laying mammals like the monotremes, and some earlier mammals that existed. And all this you can see on this at the bottom of this tree, which are the characters that each of these groups had. So the early therapids had a single skull hole behind their eye that was very large. The later therapists then increased the size of their tooth and the complexity of their tooth. Then as you moved on, some of them begin to develop articular quadrates, which were used for hearing, and they were also important for their jaws. Then beyond that, the monotremes had begun to evolve with mammary glands. They started having hair. You started seeing hair on these mammals, ear bones on their skull, and going on up until the placentas that develop in uterus, that's in a womb with placenta. Some develop within a pouch like the marsupial. So this was giving you a breakdown of how mammals have evolved over time, from the early therapids all the way down to the placentas that we have today. Some of them still exist, some are extinct. The marsupials are still very much in existence. There's still so many marsupials in existence. The monotremes are still in existence, and quite a number of these animals, but some of them are also extinct. All right, so let's just go on ahead with this. Let me not bore you much with evolution story. So let's get into the characteristics of mammals. So there are three important that I would like to call fundamental characteristics that mammals share. All mammals share these characteristics. There are other characteristics, there are other features that mammals have, but they may not share all those other characteristics. Some mammals might have some of those features and some do not. But three main characteristics, fundamental characteristics, that you have to see in an animal for you to be able to tag it or name it or identify it as a mammal. The first is the presence of three middle ear bones. So in the middle ear are three bones. Mammals have three bones in their middle ear, and these bones are called ossicles. So if you hear three ossicles, they're referring to the three middle ear bones, and they are the malleus, incus, and stapes. The malleus, incus, and stapes. These ears are believed to have evolved from the jaw bones found in reptiles. So, we already mentioned that mammals evolved from reptiles. And these three middle ear bones are very close to the joints of their jaws in mammals. And then looking at the jaws of reptiles, fossil scientists believe that those three middle ear bones that we see in mammals today must have evolved from those jaw joints that are in reptiles. And those three bones were called the malleus, incus, and stapes. So all mammals have this feature. They have three bones in their middle ear. Then the second characteristic is that all mammals have hair on their body. This is unique to mammals, as no other animal possesses true hair. At least some hair is found on all mammals at some point or time during their life. So the hair is another fundamental characteristic of mammals. Every mammal has hair, and there is no other animal that does have hair. Although in some stages of the life of some mammals, you don't find hair on their body. But at least in one stage in their lives, you will find a stage that is covered with hair. So hair is highly important. You find it grow on the mammalian skin. You don't have hairs, you don't find animals with hairs in the class A's. You don't find animals with hair among the reptiles. You don't find amphibians with hair and what have you. Only mammals have hair covering their skin or their body. Then finally, mammary glands. All mammals have mammary glands. It's a unique mammalian feature, and it develops from mammary ridges that are present in both sexes. So both male and female mammals have mammary glands. It's just that in males, it stops developing before puberty. But in females, these mammary glands continue to develop, and when they have their young, it secretes milk that they use to feed their young. Of course, we as human beings are also identified as mammals. And you know that females amongst us have mammary glands. And when they are pregnant, when they have, they conceive and have deliver their young, they feed their young with milk that is produced in the mammary glands. So, but that's one very important, another highly fundamental characteristic of mammals. So these three characteristics, the three middle ear bones, hair, and the mammary glands, are fundamental characteristics of mammals. So let's just look at, okay, so this slide is just showing you the presence of hair on the skin. This is an image of the skin, showing you the different layers of the skin, the epidermis and the dermis. That's not what we are learning anyways. We are just showing you the presence of hair. So you can see the hair follicles producing hair that shoots out of the skin of these animals, of the epidermis. And so you find the body of this group of animals called mammals covered with hair, which is highly unique and you don't find in other groups of animals. So let's look at some other characteristics that may not necessarily be shared by all mammals, but are present in quite a good number of them. But the first three I mentioned, which is hair, mammary glands, and three middle ear bones, are extremely important for you to be able to identify an animal as a mammal. But let's look at the other characteristics. You have the presence of four-chambered hearts. So mammals have four-chambered hearts. Their hearts are just like the hearts of birds. So of course, if you are going to use the four-chambered heart, you can't tell an organism, an animal is a mammal just because of the presence of the four-chambered heart, because birds also have. But it's very good for you to know that the type of heart that mammals have is the four-chambered heart. It means that their heart is divided into four chambers, having the two atria and two ventricles. And it's important for double circulation of blood. So oxygenated blood enters through some chambers, and deoxygenated blood through the other two chambers. Mammals possess post-anal tail. Of course, they are not the only group of animals that have tails, and that's why we are not putting this as their fundamental characteristics. But most mammals, in fact, present in all mammals, is the post-anal tail. It's present in many mammals, in most mammals, and extends behind the anus. Although many of you would ask if humans, that's the Homo sapiens, have mammals, have post-anal tail. Yes, we do. It's just that it's vestigial. It's vestigial, meaning that it's highly rudimentary, highly reduced, and its function is not really known. And so in humans, the tail is present. In fact, you will see it as a tailbone, but it doesn't protrude. It's extremely reduced, and it's usually present during the embryonic development. That is, while the fetus of the human is developing in the womb, you find the post-anal tail. But as development continues, it begins to reduce until it reduces to a tailbone that is almost invisible. And finally, the brain. Mammals have brains that are more developed and specialized than any other class of animals. And that's why they are more intelligent than other groups of animals. This is just a diagram or an image showing you the brain. 5, mammals are heterodontic. Mammals are heterodontic. Of course, when you hear dontic, that word, of course, should remind you of dental. Should say something about dentition, said something about the dentist. Anyways, you just know it has something to do with the teeth. So hetero, that is different types or kinds. When you say homo, it means one type, but hetero means different types. So mammals have different types of teeth. Their teeth are differentiated. Unlike some other animals, sorry about that. Just a minute, I will share my screen. All right, I'm back. Sorry about the break in transmission. I noticed that I missed the jawbones. I missed talking about the jawbones. Yes, so the jawbones is the lower jaw of mammals and is made up of a single bone. So the lower jaw of mammals is made up of a single bone. That's another important characteristic. Then we talked about the brain already. We said the brain is the most developed and highly cephalized of all animals. Although not only mammals have brains, it's just that their brains are more developed and highly specialized. So we're talking about their dentition. Now, mammals are heterodontic, unlike some other animals that are homodontic. Mammals are heterodontic. It means that they have different kinds of teeth. Their teeth are differentiated. And some are used for biting, some for grinding, tearing, and crushing. So these different types of teeth have different uses. So you know about the premolar, the molar, the incisors, the canines, and and what they are able to do. And so when you see, and so that this dentition also tells you a lot about their nutritional physiology or their feeding physiology, how they feed, what they feed on, and what they do not feed on, or where they are placed in the trophic in what trophic level they belong to or they are found. It has a lot to do with what kind of teeth they have and and what those different types of teeth are used for. So you can tell here that the rodents, for example, have, you can see the premolars and molars are usually very strong, and they have incisors and cheek teeth that grow throughout life because they are going to be crushing things or chewing into things. And yes, and so you also have, for example, look at the teeth of the fruit bat, the fruit bat that belongs to the group Chiroptera. They have robust teeth for crushing hard fruits because they crushing, they feed on fruits and they need to crush those fruits. But if you look at the coyote, the skull of the teeth, the dentition of the coyote, which is a carnivore, you see that the incisors are very pronounced. And so their incisors are adapted for slicing meat. Look at, so look at the anteater. You can see the anteater does not even have teeth at all. It's a mammal. Why? Because what it really uses to feed is his tongue. It has a very sticky tongue, and what they feed on is ants. So depending on what the dentition tells you a lot about what the animals feed on, what their feeding physiology is, and all of that. But one important thing for you to know is that mammals don't have the same set of teeth. Each individual doesn't, I mean, each group do not have the same set of teeth. They all have different types of teeth in their dentition. And these different types of teeth are used for different things. Okay. Let's move on for other characteristics. Move on to other characteristics. Mammal teeth have more complex shapes than the teeth of other vertebrates. Sorry, let me correct that, because I might forget to. Mammal teeth have complex shapes than the teeth of other vertebrates. Okay, we are still talking about the teeth here. Many more are cups, cones, and ridges. So a lot of complex shapes, and that tells you there are different types of teeth. They have teeth that differ from front to back in the jaw, the incisors, the canines, the premolars, and molars. So from front to back of their jaws, you see different types of teeth with different shapes and for different uses or purposes. They have a complex occlusion between teeth. So when chewing, mammal teeth lock together in a very complex and rigid fashion. So that's one very good thing to note about the dentition of mammals. Mammals have only one set of replacement teeth, whereas most other vertebrates have many. So mammals have only one set of replacement teeth. That is, group of teeth that they will replace as they go on in life. So let's see something briefly about, okay. Someone asked the question, Angela Adedayo, sir, can you say that a common characteristic of mammals is that they are heterotrophs? No, it's not unique to mammals that they're heterotrophs, because several other organisms are heterotrophs. They're heterotrophs among birds, they're heterotrophs among, as a matter of fact, all animals are heterotrophs. Yes. So they do not produce their own food or manufacture their own food. So it's not unique to say that mammals are heterotrophs. It's only plants that are autotrophs. So animals do not produce their own food. So it's not unique to mammals. All animals are heterotrophs. Is that okay, Angela? So if you are asked for a common characteristics of mammals, of a mammal, I won't be expecting you to say they're heterotrophs. Yes, I know. As a matter of fact, all other animals are. All right, okay, thank you. So let's see something briefly about their reproductive physiology. Of course, like I said, you're still going to be learning all these things in details. You're going to learn about their digestion and nutrition in detail. You learn about their respiration in detail. You learn about their excretion in detail. I'm just taking you through an overview of all this to give you a very good start. So you find diverse modes of reproduction in mammals, sorry. You find some of them that lay eggs, like the monotremes I talked about. That's the platypus I told you in Phineas and Ferb. Monotremes, that's the egg-laying mammal. They are referred to as proterians. They lay eggs. Whereas when you move to the metatarians, which are the marsupials, like the kangaroos, the koalas, they are viviparous. Sorry, that's misspelled. Okay. Yes, so the marsupials are viviparous. Viviparous meaning that they give birth to their young alive, but the difference is that they are young, very mature young, mature within a pouch where they suck the mammary glands of their mothers within that pouch. So instead of them being born and they start living independent of their mother, they remain in the pouch until they become mature young or they fully develop. Then finally, the euterians that develop exclusively within placentals, they are also viviparous. That is, they give birth to their young alive. That's the meaning of viviparous. They give birth to their young alive. But they don't develop within the pouch like the metatarians. They develop within a womb and they have placentas. And so you have this, they also suck the mammary glands of their mother. And there you have precocial and altricial young. That is young that can learn from their mothers, and that their mothers take care of for a period of time before they are left to survive on their own. So let's look at the varying gestation periods you find in animals. The large mammals usually would have longer gestation periods, especially the herbivores. And then they are precocial newborns. They are born in an advanced stage. So the stages in which they are born is well advanced. So they look at the newborns look. Of course, they are not as big and as large as the adults, but they look exactly like the adults. And that's what you call precocial newborns. But they have longer gestation periods. Whereas the smaller mammals like the insectivores, the rodents, the small carnivores, they have shorter gestation periods. And they usually give birth to a lot of young, unlike the larger mammals. So they have very high fecundity and give birth to a lot of offsprings at once. And their newborns are altricial. They are born helpless and they require significant parental care because they are sightless and they are airless. Whereas the large mammals are usually born in advanced stage. They also need parental care, but not as much as the altricial newborns that you find in the smaller mammals like insectivores, rodents, and the carnivores. Of course, you understand is reasonable in the sense that their gestation period is very short. So it doesn't take them so long enough before they are born. And so they will need significant parental care because at that point they are born without clear eyesight, and they are born without air. And this will have to develop before they can be left to take care of themselves. So that brings me to the end of the lecture. Actually, we're able to achieve finishing before 11 o'clock. So please stop asking if you're going to get the slides. You are going to make me change my mind. I should be the one to tell you if you're going to get the slides or not. They are my slides, they are not yours. Or should I change my mind? Do humans give birth to precocial newborns? Yes, you can say that. But then the fact that they're precocial does not mean they don't need parental care. So there's, of course, we find parental care among mammals, quite a lot of mammals, even the large mammals. It's just that the smaller mammals need a lot more parental care, especially because they are born without sight and they are without air. So they have to be taken care of until they're able to develop those parts and they're left to. Any more questions? I'm not interested in your name and matric number. Any more questions? Yes, thank God I'm Obasanjo. Any more questions? Or maybe we'll meet tomorrow briefly, just do a revision of what we learned today, and then I'll open the floor for questions. Is that okay? All right, thank you. Thank you, Obikoya. Okay, what's the difference between precocial and altricial newborns? You can save that question for the next class, but it's there on the slide. Precocial means that they are born almost looking like the adults, and so they don't need as significant parental care as the altricial newborns. All right, thank you guys. I will give you the slides in the next class. It's all right. Okay, bye. Thanks for coming.